Since the very dawn of time, our species has done and continues to do something that is unique unto us. We have not only looked at the skies, we have looked beyond them. We have gazed with wonder at the stars and felt a connection deep inside us. Something seems to call to us, an unnamed yearning that will not go away, one that draws our eyes ever upward and outward. No other creatures on this world do this. Is this because we are extremely evolved apes? Is it because we are miracles of creation? Or is there another, much more logical explanation? One thing globally common to our species is the belief that we possess great knowledge, but for some reason cannot seem to tap fully into it. Yes, there have been a few of us who have accessed a tiny fraction of our full potential, but only a few. And maybe that's a good thing. For look at some of the harm that their accomplishments ended up doing to the world. The use of fossil fuels and nuclear fusion to create energy are a couple of classic examples. We seem to instinctively know that we are capable of much, much more, and we are 100% right. Our potential is directly linked to our origin on Earth, which is one of the most perplexing questions that still haunts humanity to this day. Most people are raised to believe that mankind's origin on this world is from one of two theories, evolution or creation. But there are those who also theorize things like, we are in an experiment being conducted by an alien species. We are implants from cells embedded deep in a meteorite, or that we're a hybrid species created by genetic splicing and manipulation. Each of these theories has some merit and logic, but the reality is that none of them have anything to do with human origin on this planet or the real reason that human beings were put here, and that reason was exile. Exile is my theory about how humans arrived on Earth. It is the theory that human beings were quite deliberately placed on this planet and for very good reasons. Reasons that have nothing to do with alien experiments, a benevolent being creating a substandard species to worship and serve it, or our evolution from primordial sludge. Nor is there any scientific proof to substantiate that any of the most widely accepted theories are right. In fact, there has been a lot of deliberate misinformation and a number of very elaborate attempts to defraud the public, such as the Piltdown Man fraud. The reality remains that there is not one single shred of evidence anywhere in or on this entire world that indicates that our species evolved here or ever even existed on this world prior to 60,000 years ago. Yes, there were hominids on Earth long, long before us, such as apes and Neanderthals, but our DNA, that of Homo sapiens sapiens or Cro-Magnon, proves conclusively that we did not directly evolve from any of them, that none of them are our direct ancestors, and that none of our species ever successfully interbred with any of theirs. Yet despite undeniable genetic proof, evolutionists and even a few scientists keep perpetrating the lie that we descended from apes that lived here millions of years ago. If that was true, apes would now be far more evolved than we are, or we would have ascended from apes, not descended. The truth is that our origin, the ancestry of man, extends far beyond this world and back through time much, much farther than when our species first walked upon this world. You see, once we lived among the stars and knew technological marvels that we only dream of and fantasize about today. However, approximately 50 to 60,000 years ago, an event took place that changed a lot about us. I do not claim to know what that event was, possibly a genetic mutation, but whatever the cause, once kind, brilliant, and compassionate beings began to transform into selfish, hateful demons, and those who once healed began to murder, and those who once gave freely began to steal, and great wisdom became interspersed with tragic insanity. These changes are the real reasons that humans are on Earth. We were put here because we became truly wretched and evil beings. beings who were and are a very real menace to ourselves, all life around us, and to peace in the universe. Because of our interstellar relatives' total respect for the sanctity of life, the solution they chose to protect themselves was to exile us to prison colonies upon a prison planet, a trait we seem to have inherited. Though we have variations in our physical appearances, we are all of the same species, but each was taken from very different worlds with very different climatic conditions. This has a great deal to do with why the Earth, with its multiple climatic zones, was chosen to put us upon. Those who were from arid worlds were placed in deserts. Those who were from frozen worlds were placed at the polar ice caps, and those who were from heavily forested and very humid worlds were placed in jungles and forests, etc. Of course, I have no way of knowing for sure, but I'm going to guess that those who put us here had some way of determining who was a threat and who was not. That method was likely DNA. I am also convinced that they somehow must have erased all memory of our former lives and technological abilities before placing us here, leaving us in a very primal state. Earth became our prison, and us its only prisoners. At first, it was thought that we would either be assimilated or exterminated, but it became very apparent very quickly that neither of those things was going to happen. In fact, we began to dominate the world around us, and for the first time in planetary history, Earth witnessed art, architecture, animal husbandry, agriculture, written languages, advanced mathematics, technology, law, religion, and government. Sadly, it also became witness to the horrible atrocities of mankind, most often committed by religions and governments. Within 10 to 20,000 years of arriving on Earth, humans had virtually exterminated Neanderthals globally. Neanderthals, who were much larger, stronger, and faster than we are, and who had much larger brains, had been at the top of the food chain on Earth for over 350,000 years. Unfortunately for them, they competed with humans for food and territory, for humans are murderously possessive. So, as humans do with most threats, they destroyed them. It is speculated that creatures throughout history, such as giants, Yeti, the abominable snowman, Bigfoot, and Sasquatch, which all very accurately fit the description, are actually remaining Neanderthals who avoid human contact at all costs, and, as history has proven, for very good reason. I feel fairly certain that our exile to Earth was not fully supported by all. Some very likely felt it best simply to destroy us. Some may have felt it was cruel to imprison us at all. Both continue to visit us, one to determine threat, and the other to offer assistance. In fact, some of the greatest technologies that we have ever known have been shared with us by visitors from other worlds, but often at a very terrible cost, for most civilizations that benefited from extraterrestrial assistance were wiped out very suddenly and on a very large scale. However, there is something that both sides of the penal panel have warned us about, and that is our nature. From the dawn of humanity on Earth, we have been told in no uncertain terms to change our evil ways. This message is known by every culture in every country in the world and has been handed down for thousands of generations. Almost every religion in human history has been and is based entirely on the premise that we are evil and need to change. Another remarkable similarity of religions is that all of them say that it's going to end really badly for us if we don't do something to improve ourselves. Never has this been more important or pertinent to our survival than it has become in the last few decades. As our ability to send ourselves far out among the stars increases, so does the risk of our escape from the planet we were imprisoned on, and those who imprisoned us here are sure not to be happy about that at all. Most extraterrestrial surveillance and examination of humans to date has been done specifically to determine our risk of threat to intergalactic peace, with escape from this planet being the absolute worst-case scenario. Due to remarkable technologies, we are now on the verge of bringing about our jailer's worst fear, that of humans achieving interstellar spaceflight. My fear is that this will force those who imprisoned us here to take drastic action in order to protect themselves, action which may well include systematic and extremely efficient human annihilation. If and when this takes place, all of our fabricated beliefs, our optimistic delusions, and forced positivity will not save so much as a single life. We will come face to face with reality, with truth, and when we do, it will crush us. But it will not crush us nearly as much as the realization that we were warned over and over again to change, but effectively did nothing to ensure our survival. It may be too late to prevent a very unfortunate chain of events from taking place, but there are still things that we can do to give ourselves advanced warning, and possibly even to avert tragedy. Things like learning interspecies communication, learning more about those who put us here, and honestly acknowledging that we have some very serious issues that even we don't like dealing with. Like I said, I'm sure that some people will believe that I am a tinfoil cap mentally ill dunce who somehow managed to sneak away from his caregiver, but that's okay, because half of those who feel that way have painted themselves into an evolutionary corner, and the other half fanatically follow make-believe faiths about make-believe entities with make-believe powers who give them make-believe rules that they make believe they live by. Regardless of your belief about our origin on this world, thank you for taking the time out of your life to watch this, and for allowing me to share my thoughts about the who, what, when, where, why, and how of our existence on Earth. As I've previously stated, I do not dispute evolution, but I do dispute that our species evolved on this planet. I do not deny the existence of a God, but do deny that a God created us upon this world. For more information about my theories on the origin of man, the occupants of UFOs, and achieving interspecies communication, please visit my website, ancestryofman.com. Thank you.